Julie would be the one to start, but, okay. I will call a meeting to order. I have to read the access. As a preliminary matter, this is Evelyn Paness, Chair of the Board of Needham Contributory Retirement System. Permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. When I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Mr. Merles,
Yes.
Mr. Krowecki,
Yay.
Ms. Sincata,
Yes.
Mr. Papetti,
Yeah.
Mr. I'm sorry, Francesco. Is it Francesco Daniele or Daniele?
Francesca's my first name.
I'm sorry.
I have a few paisanos on this board, so.
Yeah, I understand it. I understand it.
Mr. Feeney,
Yes.
Mr. Cole,
Yes.
Ms. Milch. Sorry, Liz. Good morning. This open
Mrs.
meeting
Mills, but yes.
of the Needham Retirement Board is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transition of the COVID-19 virus, we have been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings, and as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings at a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely, so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless the chair notes otherwise. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will not feature public comment. For this meeting, the Needham Retirement Board is convening by Zoom app webinar as posted on the town's website, identifying how the public may join. Please note this meeting is being recorded and that some attendees are participating by video conferencing. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you and that take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. We're now turning to the first item of the agenda. Before we do so, permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. I will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, the chair will go down the line of members, inviting each by name to provide comment. Please remember to mute your phone or computer when you are not speaking. Remember to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. For any response, please wait until the chair yields the floor to you and state your name before speaking. Each vote taken at this meeting will be conducted by roll call. Okay. Now, first item on the agenda, I would like to introduce Francesco Daniele from Prim, who is going to review the management fees as requested by the board. It's all yours, hon.
Hey, thank you so much again. Thanks for the time today. Thanks, Jake, for all the requests and discussions we've had in advance. Let me just take a step back, and sometimes we only meet with you folks once a year, so sometimes a lot of these things get lost in translation. So when we look at any investment, and as you know, Prim is about $87 billion as of yesterday. And when we look at any investment in our portfolio, about 38% of the portfolio are alternative investments that have higher costs and typically higher returns. So keep that as a framework. The other piece I'd like to remind everyone of is we have some Prim core beliefs. And one of those core beliefs is the way we look at each investment. Anyone will talk to you about returns. Some people will talk to you about costs, and some people may also talk to you about risk. So when we look at any investment, we weigh each of those equally. Let me say that again, equally. So we think it's equally important to understand the cost. And actually, we prioritize our costs. It's more important to know our cost structure than it is to know our returns, because our costs, we can count on them. If we have low costs, when we go into a down cycle or volatility, our low cost structure will protect us in volatile markets. So I just want to frame the conversation. It's in our DNA. We've had numerous initiatives over the years, Project Save Phase 1 and Project Save Phase 2, and those have saved hundreds of millions of dollars annually. I think it's about 150 million annualized savings for the PRIT fund, and those all trickle down to all of us, all of the participants, such as Needham. That being said, I'd like to mention, I know there's always questions about, I think the question about the fees is more about the dollar amount and not the percentage. When you look at, as I mentioned, we're 38% alternative at a cost of 53, and I believe as of this fiscal year, it's coming down to 52 basis points. That's not only extremely competitive, it's remarkable. And there's a lot of initiatives that we do to get the fees that low. So I understand when you look at it in terms of dollars, they're big dollars. Clearly, they're big dollars. And clearly, we manage for you folks as of the end of November, it was $194 million that we managed for you folks. So we're very proud of that. You folks have been with Prim for a long, long time. One of the initiatives that we did include are our compliance. We're only one of about 6 public pension plans in the country that are GIPS compliant. That is the highest standard for transparency that exists in the marketplace. Almost no other state does it. We're only one of about 6. All of our asset classes are audited. We receive clean audits as of the end of the fiscal year. We receive accolades for our reporting, transparency, and clearly anytime you don't have to always take our word for it, but you can always call PARAC and ask them what they think of our fees. You know, they're watching all of this very closely. So if you look at your November statement, and I have it in front of me, I can screen share, but I'm sure you don't need me to. You folks are $272,000 worth of fees. 70,000 was in global equities. And remember, that's about 38% of your portfolio. Value added fixed income, 32,000. Private equity, 88,000. And we have the highest performing private equity fund in the country, actually ranked number 2 last year. And we're the only fund that's been ranked in the top 5 every year that the AIC has done their ranking. So we think those fees are very well spent. Portfolio completion strategies, 46,000. Core fixed income, only 9,000. Real estate, 23. Timber, 1,000. And overlay and other strategies, about 16,000. So I totally understand that those fees look large in terms of dollars, and it is a lot of money clearly. But when you put it into comparison with the assets under management, it's very competitive. So I don't want to go too long on that. I think that gives you guys a good snapshot. I'll definitely take questions and like to know if there's a better way for me to present the information to give you folks comfort in our fee structure. Yes, Sandra.
Francesco, my question is, I understand the concept, but I want to understand where the amount of the fees come from. Does it come from the number of transactions, or are we just charged a percentage of the full portfolio based on our contribution to it?
Yeah, so you pay, that's a great question. You pay your pro rata share. So 194 million, whatever the percentage is of that, I think it's like 0.01% of 87 billion. And you pay your pro rata share. And the difference, there's direct fees and indirect fees. So all the managers that we hire, you folks pay your little pro rata share of that. All of our expenses here to run the fund, that's also included. So there's no other fees those are all the fees. It's 100%. And it's actually in our CAFR, we break out, we have numerous pages on the definitions of direct and indirect fees for total transparency. But that's a great question. Thanks for asking.
Anybody else have any questions? That was a good, thank you, Sandy, for that question. That was very clarifying. Anybody else have any questions? Mr. Merles, do you have any comments, questions?
No.
Okay.
Actually, the only question I had, I've asked for the last 3 months, is a breakdown of the 181,000 that was charged to us in November, December. All I wanted to see is why on a quarterly basis it goes from 20,000 to 180 or 150,000.
Yeah, that's a good question. I know we covered that when I came with Michael Trotsky, and I've come with Paul Tedisco in the past. As you know, so for example, our real estate portfolio, Mr. Merles, what happens is that part of the portfolio doesn't get valued every month. We don't value the real estate portfolio monthly. It's valued quarterly. So on a quarterly basis, you'll see that the fees will go up. But when you look over the year, they spread out to the 53 basis points. So we've covered this one. I mean, I'm glad if that's your biggest question. I think we've covered that one numerous times. The alternative parts.
Yeah, but we never get an answer. I never get an answer. I asked for a breakdown of the 181,000 and we didn't get it.
I'll re-provide you the letter we sent to you, we provided last time, and I provided it to Jake. You can see the breakdown in the fees for real estate, for private. So basically, any of the asset classes that don't trade daily, their costs aren't tabulated monthly. They're tabulated quarterly. Private equity is valued quarterly. So those fees are attributed on a quarterly basis.
Okay, so the fees are charged separately. Does it affect the rate of return? I mean, does it affect the rate of return if you had, you know, you see what I mean? If we had 10 million in global equities and we had a fee of 50,000, is that net of?
So we provide you your returns. That's a great question. And so just so we're 100% transparent, we give you your gross fee. How much was the gross, return? How much is the net return? And the difference is your fees.
Okay.
So that's.
So when you report at the end of the year, you're giving us the net return, not the gross?
We're giving you both. So you always can see both. So when if anyone ever had a question, you could say, Prim told me my return was X. They tell me my fees are Y.
Mm-hmm.
And I can see that it's actually in all the information that we put publicly out there shows you the gross and the net returns. And then there's the fee.
Okay.
On the report that we get every month with our statement,
Yep, I have it in front of me.
it reflects returns. The summary of plan performance.
Like the November one with the big pie chart with all the colors.
I have the number of, the one I have in front of me is the November 30th.
Which page, Evie? Are you referring to?
Oh, crap, I'm sorry. 26. It's at the end of the
month to date, fiscal year to date, and calendar year to date.
Sorry, my phone's ringing. So,
You see the page he's talking about, Francesco? It's the summary of plan performance rates of return.
which comes with our monthly statement.
Yeah, that's the cover page. That's the print return. Yeah,
So it kind of looks like this. I don't know if you can see my screen, but it looks like that.
Yeah, that's the I call that the cover page. Yeah.
Okay.
Those are your gross returns.
Those are gross returns. Are they on a calendar year basis or a fiscal year basis? Because it's a bit confusing.
As you can see there's a month to date, a 1 year, a fiscal year, a 3 year, a 5 year since inception number. It covers all periods, Evie. That's a good question though.
Well, if I look at it says calendar year to date, 1 year, the next column over. Is that a calendar year or fiscal year basis?
So the calendar year. So the fiscal year means that it starts July 1st.
Right, I know that, but I mean, I need to know when you say 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, 10 year, is that a fiscal year or is that a calendar year?
We're always on the fiscal year.
Fiscal year, okay, all right.
I'm sorry, Evie, but the 1 year number is based on the 1 year, if you look back from the end of that November statement. So that's a moving wave, right? It moves
Okay,
with,
okay.
Okay,
so it's the November statement. So the 1 year goes from the end of this November all the way to the end of last November.
so when I'm asked, which I will be this evening, what was the rate of return for fiscal year 20? I don't have that on this document. Is that correct?
You don't.
Okay.
I can send you the fiscal year return so you have it.
Could you send me that, please,
Yeah, of course.
before 7 o'clock tonight?
As soon as you,
Tonight's the big decision.
as soon as you send me on, I mean, I know Jake has it. As soon as you send me on your way, I'll email it to you in 15 minutes. But that comes with every statement that you have in your.
I know, but I did not, I really, unfortunately, all these years, I have not looked at it carefully. And then when I was asked the question, how is this presented? I'm like, I'll find out. So, yes, but anyway, to look at this is just, let's look at the 1 year, it's 10.03. Is that gross or net of fees?
Gross.
Do you know?
It's gross.
Gross.
That's gross. Okay, that's what I thought. All right. Okay.
And I believe we send you folks monthly your net of fee number that comes from Emily Green.
You know, I have not gotten that recently.
Well, I think, I think you folks get it quarterly because the monthly doesn't really have the alternative.
Yeah.
So you folks get it quarterly. So you should, I'll send you the net of fees. I'll send you the gross for the fiscal year 2020. So you have it.
Okay.
It's actually in our CAFR as well. So our CAFR, which is kind of our go-to document, is based on the fiscal year ending.
Yeah, I need fiscal year.
Sure.
And as an aside, while I have your attention, would that be the same as for our OPEB account on the town side?
It'd be very, very super close within a couple of days.
Yeah, if you could just send me that would be sufficient.
Sure.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
No problem. So, Mr. Merle, did I answer all your questions?
Well, I still haven't seen the breakdown on the 181,000, but I guess I'm not gonna get
I
that.
have it. I sent it to Jake. It should be in your package. You have the November breakdown by each asset class, and it ties out to your statement.
It's on page 6.
Yeah, that's the November. I think what,
Well, that's fiscal year to date, so that's like 5 months, because this is through November, right?
Correct.
Right?
That's from the end of, so the fiscal year to date means we start the counter at July 1st and it goes to the end of November, which ties to your statement. In your statement, it shows that. That's why I picked the most recent statement that you had and I tied it to your statement so you could tie it out. So you could see that it matches 100%.
So these amounts are what you pay the vendor to do the work and to pay Fritz
Exactly.
expenses, right?
Yeah, you get your pro rata share.
No. The first one, 70,000. That goes to the global equity companies that are doing the work, right? And your expenses to run your offices come out of that 70,000. Is that combined, or is it? You understand what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, no, the breakdown, each asset class gets their proportion of direct and indirect fees. It's broken out in our CAFR.
Okay.
So at the end, you pay 272,000.
That's for 5 months.
And that includes your direct and indirect fees.
So, and that's for 5 months. That's for 5 months, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Do you think these fees are high or low?
Hi.
Oh, I think, I'm not interested in high or low. I'm only interested in what's fair. I mean, I don't know whether we're being charged too much or too little. But every time we try to drill down into the numbers, it becomes even more hazy in my estimation.
Bob, what he was saying is, in Francesco, tell me if I'm summarizing this correctly, is that the 272,000 is our pro rata share of the full fund expense. Is that correct?
Correct. Direct and indirect fees.
So every participant in the fund pays a percentage to the same that we do, except
Exactly.
it depends on how much money they have in the fund.
Correct. So let me give you an example. If you folks were like state employees, 23 billion, their number, they're paying the lion's share in terms of total dollars every month. The way I look at systems like Needham, you have let's say $200 million. You're getting the power of 85 billion. When we go shop and beat up the managers and negotiate the fee structures, we bring it down, because if we showed up with 200 million, yeah, we would have leverage, but we show up with 87 billion to have those discussions. So Evie, you should feel super confident, and we've been audited. We've been reviewed by PARAC. People are copying us on how we're saving fees and how we structure the portfolio. And I think Michael Trotsky mentioned this last time we met in person. Actually, I know he did. And he said, if you can find an investment manager for yourself personally, that 38% of the portfolio is in alternative asset classes at 53 basis points, please let us know. So for example, private equity is the most expensive asset class. We do something called co-investing, where there's zero fees and zero carry to drive the cost down. But that's an innovation that we brought, and then everyone gets the benefit of that. Like Sandra said, you all are getting the benefit of our size, which is what I said, and what she said is you're paying your pro rata share. Every client in the system of that 87 billion pays their pro rata share of the expenses.
Who does the audit?
KPMG.
Is that as of July 1st or June 30th?
Always based on the fiscal year basis. So their audit letter, their audit report is in the CAFR, which is on our website. I think we may have mailed it out to you as well in December. It looks like this.
I didn't see it.
Well, it's on our
Do you have
website.
a copy of that you can share with Bob?
Yeah, I can include that in my list of items to send to you. I'll send you the link.
I do. I have one copy of it. It's literally like Francesca held up a book. So it has a stiff spine. So there's no real feasible way to photocopy it, which is okay. Unless Francesco internally, do you guys have a PDF of that I can share?
Yeah, it's right on the website. I can send a link to it. It's actually on the
All right.
cover of our website. We're so adamant about being transparent. It's right on the first page of our website.
I actually have it. I have it up right here. I'll save it and I'll send it to them.
Thank you, Jake.
Everybody all set? Anybody have any further questions?
Yes, I do, John. Francisco, in the scenario you just depicted with the private equity, do they still get paid when there's a market downturn?
Well, there's usually two components of fees. One is depending on how much money you manage, and then they only get paid their larger part of the fee when they have significant success. So there's a hurdle that they have to jump over. If they don't get to that hurdle, they don't get any extra fees.
But they still get like a base, no matter what happens, right?
Correct.
A base fee.
Correct. And we do. Go ahead.
All right, one more question. We all know Prim owns, getting back to the real estate component of the investment portfolio. We all know Prim owns both suburban and downtown office buildings and rental units, whether they're not college dorms or young person transient, semi-annual housing. Did I say shopping malls too? I was reading last night, like in New York, Boston, San Francisco, the rents and vacancy rates, 35%. It's going to be a longer term thing, even down the road. Is there anything being done to mitigate those losses or
Yeah, so that's a great question.
impact to the
I'm
portfolio?
glad you brought it up. So our real estate portfolio has some defensive components. Let me tell you what it doesn't have, and this should give you some comfort. We don't own hotels, okay? So that was already part of our plan as a defensive real estate portfolio. We don't own any malls. The only shopping that we own retail has a grocery anchor, has a grocery store as an anchor. So we don't buy things unless there's a grocery store there, because we also feel like that's defensive. That protects us on the downside. We don't own much development, so we're not building things out of the ground. We have one project that's been out of the ground now in Kendall Square that's doing well. When you look across our entire real estate portfolio, our collections are about 93%. So that means we're collecting 93% out of 100 of our rent.
Yeah, the other thing was the forbearance thing, which in my opinion is going to last another year, but I don't know what.
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I'm not going to tell you that we know where the office part of the portfolio is going to go. All of the tenants are doing, we've been asked to extend the leases on some of these. Some people think that office is going to rebound strongly because now you're going to need more space per person. Everyone's going to need an office. Some people think this is the end of office. It's going to be something in the middle. It's going to be a hybrid model where we're like, you folks are all at home. Today I'm in the office. Evie's in the office, I think. Jake's in the office. So yeah, we're watching it very closely, John. And actually, I would love for any of you or all of you to listen into our real estate committee meeting. You can now dial in and listen to the whole meeting. I've been sending those emails out, the investment committee, the PRIM board. I think we've actually been doing a very good job on giving folks full access to PRIM, even though it's on a remote basis. Has anyone had the chance to listen in to any of those meetings?
Can you send those to Jake, the contact numbers?
Yeah, those come out. Jake, do you get those when we send them out for the board cycle?
I'd have to double check. I do have a Prim folder that a lot of them kind of go streaming right into.
I'll double check it. And then when I send it as a group email, I'll make sure I send it to you again separately so you have it.
Francesco, earlier when you and Evie were talking, I didn't recognize the woman's name that apparently sends some report. So
Emily Green.
So you might want to make sure I'm on that list because that name doesn't sound familiar to me.
Okay. I got a lot of emails to send for you guys today. No, my pleasure. No problem.
One last thing, is that a one-way conversation or just monitoring the meeting one way?
There's a committee. So you'll hear, for example, there's Treasurer Goldberg. She's the chair of the PRIM board. And then the real estate committee, Jill Hatton, she's the chair of that real estate committee. So she'll ask the questions. The real estate committee can ask questions. So you'll hear the debate, you'll hear the conversation, you'll hear Michael Trotsky give his kind of state of the union at that point for that meeting.
Years ago, I went to a couple of meetings, in town there on State Street when Shannon O'Brien was running the thing, but it's been a long time and that's not going to happen now, obviously.
Well, now you can just listen to it live from your home.
Yeah, no, they excused me when they talked about a couple of things, but again, that was over 10 plus years ago, whatever it was.
Yeah, we go, just like you folks that go into closed session, we also go into closed session on occasion.
Yeah. All right, thanks. That's it from me.
Francesca, I wouldn't let you go without, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask because I've asked it every opportunity I get. How's timber doing? I hate timber.
Sorry.
You're like one of the only peoples in the country who doesn't like timber.
I've never
Not
liked,
even Massachusetts, the whole country.
I don't know. You could ask Paul, you know, if they ever asked about timber.
Oh, I know. And remember we gave you the example of gold, when you don't like the price, just let the trees just let them keep growing.
I don't know.
But if you listen to the Real Estate and Timberland Committee meeting, you'll hear us spend probably 30 minutes on timber.
Okay, I will definitely join.
Everyone needs wood.
Exactly.
I don't know why, but anyway, I do. But anyway,
To build things.
Like those expensive houses in Needham, that's what they build them with, wood.
No, you can't lose with the global warming, all the hurricanes. They're gonna have to rebuild.
Yeah. What is a big commodity?
the fires are burning down our trees, you know.
No, everything has a nemesis, you know. I'm sorry. I don't share your dislike of timber. I actually like trees. But I just want to take this quick moment to thank Francesco, because my big question was I didn't understand how our fees were apportioned, and I feel one of my strongest responsibilities as a board member is to be able to explain and defend whatever we approve. And it's been sort of an approval that I give it with big faith without the knowledge behind it. And now I feel like I can at least say we're doing our prorated share. So thank you.
And whenever this doesn't become clear again, because in a couple months, these aren't things we think about all the time, right? So it's hard. I mean, I put myself in your shoes. I've told Jake, any one of you can call me. You don't have to wait for a meeting to have me give you the explanation. You can call me at any time. And I usually get back to everybody within the next day or the same day. You know, we love talking about the portfolio, the investments, the risk, the costs. So we're always available to do so. So don't feel like you need to wait once a year. I know if Abby could call me every day to talk about timber, she would love to. But, you know, feel free. This is an open door. Don't feel like you need to wait.
Okay.
All right.
Anybody have anything else? Okay. Again, thank you, Francesco. I think it was very, very, very informative, and I think we all have at least I do have a better grasp on where the fees come from and how they are calculated. I'm accustomed to seeing quarterly fees on the town side because that's how managers allocate the fees. So it's good to know how they're done. And I thank you again.
No, my pleasure. My only last suggestion is I would try to do this again, maybe in March, because we'll be able to talk to you about asset allocation changes. So how we're changing the portfolio. So that'll help John, talk about what are we doing in different parts of the portfolio. You'll hear kind of, actually the next few meetings, the February 2nd meeting is a great one because we'll start talking about asset allocation as well. So, and then feel free, we can also, that's a long meeting though, I'm not gonna lie, it's more than a couple hours. And I can give you a synopsis in about 30 minutes if you want to do it in early March.
We'll look forward to Jake setting that up.
Right.
Excellent.
Sounds good.
And Jake, I think we got mission accomplished here today.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I appreciate all your help, Francesco.
And you're
My
welcome to
pleasure.
stay for the rest of the meeting if you like.
I gotta go make sure the trees are doing okay.
Okay. Wise guy.
Francesco.
Bye now.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Thanks,
Bye.
Debbie. Bye now.
Okay.
Keep going. I'll be.
She say?
I think Sandy said she'll be right back.
Okay.
She did say we could continue. That's up to you guys.
I thought you said, keep going, I'll be right back.
Right. Do we want to keep on going? If not, then I need to step away as well. Be right back. But I have everything recorded. I'll be right back.
Am I losing everybody or what here? I'm going to continue. with the November board minutes. Has everyone present reviewed the board meeting minutes from the month of November?
Motion to accept.
I have a motion to
Second,
one typo, which I'll tell you about later. I have a motion and I have a second, who Mr. Papetti seconded. Mr. Kowecki made the motion. Am I correct?
I'll second it, yeah.
Um, Roll call vote. We're voting on the November minutes. Sandy?
Oh, I had a question, sorry.
All right.
It's a technical change, but on the first page, under meeting minutes, you have to take out, it said Mrs. Paness stated asked for a motion.
Yeah, I have that.
Okay, great. Sorry.
Can I just ask real quick, because we're talking about the minutes, can we wait until Liz comes back? She should be back momentarily. Only because if there needs any edits that are needed, I've been working with Liz on some of this, and I want her to be able to, be present for that.
Okay, she's back. Liz, there's one technical correction on the meeting minutes where it says Mrs. Paness stated asked. Please
sorry.
remove the word stated. Okay, other than that, I have a motion.
Well, it needs a period at the end of the sentence too, sorry.
Where is that?
It's under item 1 on November 12th minutes.
The
November
November
20.
minutes?
Thank you. 2020. Okay, are we set to move forward?
Yep.
I do have a motion from Mr. Kowecki. I have a second from Mr. Papetti. Any further discussion? All in favor? Ms. Sincata,
Yes.
Mr. Merles,
Yes.
Mr. Kowecki,
yay.
Mr. Papetti,
Yes.
chair votes yes. The December minutes I asked to table until next month. Do I have a motion to table the December minutes?
So moved.
I have a motion.
Second,
And I have a second. Bring it to a vote. Mr. Merles,
Yes.
Mr. Kowecki,
yay.
Ms. Sincata,
Yes.
Mr. Papetti.
Yes.
Okay. Attachment A. Any questions on the
Uh, Under transfer in, that first person, I won't mention the name.
Katie King.
What does she do?
She's assistant town manager.
For what?
Operations. She replaced Chris Coleman.
Okay. Motion to accept.
Second.
I have a motion, Mr. Merle, second, Ms. Sincata. Any further discussion?
I just wanted to add one thing I added. It was in regards to Bob's good question last month, why sometimes the Schedule A, sometimes you wouldn't even know it, but in the full spirit of transparency, sometimes the Schedule A, when I put together at a certain point, typically that first week or so of the month, it doesn't always capture some events. But at year end, we have reports that do capture the whole.
I saw your explanation on the payroll warrant thing.
Yep, and also at the end of the schedule. Yep.
I forgot to that because somebody passes away doesn't mean they're gone because they have survivors. So so the number doesn't change. Sorry, I didn't think about that.
In certain instances, that's very true.
True.
The payroll warrant. Your warrant is $1,146,259.09. A slight decrease could be an individual received a higher benefit last month because it was included a partial
Yeah. Motion to accept.
routine. I have a motion to accept. I have do I have a second. Any further discussion? Roll call vote. Mr. Merles,
Yes.
Mr. Kowicki,
Yay.
Mr. Papetti,
yes,
Ms. Incata,
Yes.
chair votes yes. Expense warrant. $31,107.28. It's pretty straightforward for as far as I'm concerned. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion?
Well, I
Get
just
much
want,
mo-
I just wanted to know, get an idea of what the legal charge was. It's not a big deal.
I can pull up the invoice. I can pull up the invoice.
You don't have to do it now.
I'll email you the invoice.
Yeah, I just want to know if it was part of that ongoing lawsuit we have with the state teachers, I believe.
But it seems high,
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, I mean,
We're
you know,
sharing it between four communities total, right? So that's a exorbitant, that's a high.
something
Hold on, real quick. I got it right here for you. I won't put up on the screen, but I can email it out to you folks. But the invoice has 5 items on it that begin the preparation for appeals court argument in section 38C case, $250. Anyway, would you guys like me to send you the invoice?
no, no.
It's all related to the case?
No, let's see. This, I'll just send it out to you guys. I'll save some time.
Okay,
I'd like to see it. Thank you.
okay, motion. Do we have a motion?
we have a motion and a second. Roll call vote. Mr. Merles,
Yes.
Mr. Kowicki,
Yay.
Mr. Papetti,
yes,
Ms. Incata,
Yes.
chair votes yes. Okay, so the operating statement, Mr. Merle.
Well, if you would ask me in February or March if we were going to be at 196 million, I would have told you you were smoking something.
Agree.
Nonetheless,
It's like,
through November, that's exactly where we are.
Yep.
I have a feeling we have a shot at 200 million by the end of the year when we get the the December results. Now, we should seize this moment, and we should do an actuarial study, and we should look at lowering the rate again,
well, I think.
increase the COLA base, or do both. So
Short-
we're not going to get this opportunity again.
I would say shortening the schedule. We've got to look at going back to 2030.
Well, yeah, I think that's important, but we should do something for our retirees too.
Uh-huh.
And we're a long way from the last time we went from 12 to 14. And
Yep.
it's time, I think we go from 14 to 16. I don't think it would have a big impact. I don't know what the impact would be, but it looks like it's like $40 a year for each retiree,
Mhm. Yeah,
which is not a big deal, but it's something. But I think it's time that we do that.
okay.
So anyways, we can't do anything until we decide whether we're going to have another actuarial study. And I guess that's what I'm asking.
I mean, I would, if what you say comes to fruition, we're at 200 million at the end of December, I would definitely want to do another study, even if it's just for information. you know what I'm saying, and not really accept it to go forward, but I would say
Yeah, but
an informational study would be a good idea.
there's a cost to that. What's it, 20,000?
Yeah,
So
I don't
I
know.
don't know. What does anybody else think?
I think it's well worth doing it if we hit the 200 point, because I'd like to see a couple of different scenarios, and I think it's money well spent for our retirees. I really do, because we may come up with something that can give them something back. So
Why I think, well, it'll be more than 196 million, I think. And here's why. The last day of the year, the NASDAQ, the S&P, the Dow, and the Russell 2000 were all at historic highs for that day. So I can't see that not moving the needle towards 200 million. Even if we didn't get it, even if the 196 was for the year, it would still be worth it. We started the year at 181.
Mm.
And it went south from there and then came back. So that's what I think.
2020.
Yeah, well, we're not going to have another opportunity to do it. What's going to happen this year? Who the heck knows? But we have the opportunity to seize it for that one day, December 31st, and what numbers that produced. And I think we should take advantage of it.
Okay, so do I have a motion to request that an actuarial study be done as of December 31, 2020?
Mm-hmm.
I have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Second. I'll second it. That's for sure.
We all second it.
Everybody seconded it. Any further discussion? Oh, roll call. Yep, sorry, Bob. Go ahead.
Do we have to put in the motion what we want to have looked at, like at a different rate, or how 2000 affects, or lowering the thing? Do we have to? I don't think we have to have that in there.
Oh, no, but we do have to, but we don't have to, I don't think we have to have it in the
Yeah,
moment.
okay, that's fine.
Okay, can I get a clarification then? Are we making a motion to accept the November operating statement, or are we making a motion to do an actuarial study?
The first motion is to do an actuarial study as of December 31, 2020.
Okay,
Mhm.
And I have Bob made the motion, and I had Sandy Sincata made the seconded the motion.
Let's let Bob Papetti make the second.
Bob,
Thank you, thank you.
We'll let
I
Bob-
need that though.
Okay. So roll call vote, Mr. Morales,
Yes.
Mr. Koecki,
Yay.
Mr. Papetti,
Yes,
Ms. Sincata.
Yeah.
Chair votes yes. Now we have a motion on the operating statement.
So moved.
I have a motion, Mr. Morales. Do I have a second?
Hell
Second.
yes.
Hell yeah. Any further discussion? Okay, roll call vote. Mr. Morales,
Yes.
Mr. Koecki,
Yay.
Mr. Papetti,
yes.
Ms. Sincata.
Yes.
Chair votes yes.
I'll keep the hell out of that, out of that.
Okay, where are we at? Let's go to,
Well, 7 and 8, I don't understand what we're voting on there, but
no, there's no vote necessary.
Yeah.
Is it just informational?
uh,
The operating statement, take a look at the budget. I'll sign these, Jake, and get them back to you. Or with paper. Okay, any comments on the budget while I try to find it? Here it is.
Well, she's trying to find that, Bob. Wouldn't you like to know what everybody's management fees are for a specific year? I mean, for a specific month. That'd be an interesting thing to see.
Well, you'd have to tie it back to what their total.
I know,
That-
I know. It'd
The
be-
co-
it'd
the
be
question-
interesting.
The question I wanted to ask, and I thought you all would get upset with me, I was going to ask what the total salary for Prim was in 19 and the total for 20. I just get the feeling that they do anything they want, get anything they want, and then they say, oh, well, just pass it on. And I don't think there's any real control in there. You know, every time you read the report, oh, we hired so-and-so, we hired so-and-so. You know, you're not gonna see anybody leaving. I don't know.
Well,
I-
Bob, you fueled much of this of this project. I mean, you should have brought that up. And secondly, I would send an email to Francesco or have Jake do it and ask this question specifically. And
Can I
that would
jump-
set your mind at ease.
Can
The
I
other,
jump-
the other question, and I want everybody to understand that I support it 100% because I've been in banking for 44 years. I know how it works, but I'd like to know what the total paid last year in bonuses. That would be a very explosive question to ask. How much in bonuses did we pay? Because we're paying for that stuff.
So
Anyways,
do you want,
maybe we ought to move on.
you want to make?
No, I think we ought to finish this, Bob, because I think it's important, since we've opened this line of discussion, I think it's important that we conclude it to the best that you want it to be.
Can I
So I
jump,
think-
can I jump in with something real
Yes,
quick?
please.
I try to be as thorough as I can for you guys, and I try to understand clearly. That's what I was actually trying to accomplish with Francesco coming in on board today, so we could have that direct access to him. But I just want you to know, kind of behind the scenes, he and I have a nice working relationship and rapport, but I was asking him to what Bob was asking about originally and earlier. I asked Francesco on a few different occasions for a more in-depth analysis and breakdown. And when he sent me the Excel sheet, I said, well, Francesco, with all due respect, that's kind of straightforward and, it's not the in-depth analysis that I was looking for coming from a finance background, but I said that's okay. I said, we'll present that to the board, but they're probably gonna have questions for you. So, they're not unhappy with Prim. I want to set that, from the outset. They just want to know a little bit more. And I even told him, I said, Francesco, pretend you're getting audited. If you can't answer a question, go to somebody that puts together the bills, someone in accounting, someone in finance. Certainly they have spreadsheets that they would have to verify for an auditor to make sure that their fees, for example, are correct. But I didn't really get to that point with him. So I figured this was just a starting point, but that's a little bit of the backstory to it.
Yeah. Well, they make claims like we have all these initiatives and we've saved over $150 million, and it trickles down to places like Needham. Well, there must be a little trickle because our rates are continually going up.
So the questions that
Let me think about this for a month. Why don't we just table this? Because I don't want to start anything that's going to end up in a disaster. I mean, I don't want to cause any hard feelings. Maybe I'm being unreasonable. Maybe I should think about it. But these are the questions. We're paying $850,000. I mean, it's kind of like, holy mackerel. And every time we get into the discussion with him, I mean, I think the guy was blowing some smoke today. But
I think it's important that we start to learn what the direct and indirect costs are, because does Prim salaries or are those direct or indirect? Those are probably indirect, right? Because,
They're indirect. Yeah, they'd be indirect.
right, so,
Well, let's move on
Yeah.
and we can talk about this again.
okay.
You know what?
There's
there is gonna be-
a motion to accept the budget. I'll make that motion.
No, you
Second,
don't need a motion, but
Okay.
you don't need a vote. It's informational. So I guess, what do I need to know? Do you want this on the agenda for next month? Continued discussion on investment fees?
Yeah,
Okay, all right.
just put it on there. We can have a general discussion. And in the meantime, I'll think about it,
Okay. And then I want it as reflected as an agenda item, please.
Yep.
Thank you.
you,
Okay,
you know their answer is gonna be, well, the rate of increase was less than it would have been.
Yeah,
So-
that, yeah, I know. Okay,
And
What's
they are coming back in March, if I heard everybody correctly, so.
well, they'll come back when we invite them back.
yeah, I mean, I think we have to have an internal discussion about the questions that we want to ask and they, if we
And
want
then after that discussion, the board says to Bob Merles, be quiet, forget it,
We've never said that, Robert.
stop being a pain.
No,
Okay,
I
let's
think you
move
bring
on.
up good points, Bob, and I think it's educational for all of us. So, thank you.
All
Okay,
right, what's,
I think the budget looks pretty much in order.
yep,
We are under budget. Which is a good thing. Okay. Old business. I will sign the, what this is a waiver to waive the public in-person medical panels for 2 of our applicants. And I,
Oh, no, I'm sorry, Abby. It says only the same applicant name is on both memorandums.
yeah,
Oh, I apologize. Yeah, Evie, I gave you both the right ones,
The right
but
yeah, I didn't even look at the packet because I had it.
So I'll
yeah,
just, the JM and DL,
yeah,
any initials? Okay, I'll do that.
And any information on the Wi-Fi connection for John? I know there've been some emails going back and forth between Roger and,
Roger supposedly ordered it,
okay.
and it should have been here by now. Jake, he hasn't given you anything or spoken to you about it?
no, the last thing that I kind of put off because I was working on the board packet, and it was Friday.
I'll
And I
follow up with him today.
Okay, I appreciate all your help with that, but I was going to talk to Tatiana just to make sure I'm able to use the state contract PO for, I guess, better pricing.
That's a separate, is that for the Zoom or is that for the MiFi?
That's for the MiFi. The Zoom is not covered under, yeah, I believe that's for the MiFi.
All right, then
Yes,
maybe.
it is. for
So
the
is
MiFi.
that because now they want us to just order it ourselves through the state contract?
Yeah, and that's why I sent you and Evie the email with basically the plans they offer. Now, technically, I talked to Zoom, I called them, and
No, can we stick with, can we finish Wi-Fi first?
sure.
Wi-Fi, so what's happening with that again? So you and Roger got involved with Tatiana so that we could procure it ourselves, is that right?
Well, not according to what you just said. You just said that Roger told you that it's already been delivered.
Right,
I didn't
right.
even know any of that.
Okay, but when but I guess at what point were you talking with Tatiana for us getting on the state contract? Is that for the MiFi or the Zoom?
MiFi,
Okay, so let me
per
clarify.
Roger,
right.
Roger.
Okay, per Roger?
Yep, it's an email. You're on the emails.
Okay. So I
Well,
might
this-
be corrected. He might have moved it forward and is suggesting that we purchase it ourselves. So,
I don't know. The emails that I've been getting are a little bit confusing because, and I don't know whether they're talking about the Zoom or the Wi-Fi.
right,
When they say that when Roger will get the bill and then notify us of the amount that we have to pay, and then we would, in effect, pay the town or
That
pay.
would have been the MiFi.
I don't know what that was for. That was for the MiFi.
That was for the MiFi.
Okay.
But now I have to find out why we're doing it ourselves. So let me, unless you want to take care of this, Jake, I don't want us to both work the same issue, only because there'll be too much confusion.
Yeah, I just copied you guys on the emails and I did jump in on them that started with you and Roger, but basically to clarify, the MiFi can be purchased through IT and through a state contract. So we can have the benefits of that, probably better pricing basically. The Zoom, Tatiana was very clear and Roger was as well, that the Zoom would be better for us to be purchased by the retirement office itself.
Right, right.
And that's going to be.
That's all I know, right? That's all I know.
Was that the one that's going to be on the state contract in March? I think there was something, an email from Roger saying, because I said we could do the next couple of meetings the way we're doing them, and then when it goes on, when it's available through the state contract, we would go then. Am I not speaking correctly?
I should probably get a little clarification from Roger, but like I said, the MiFi is the only thing that's able to be grouped in on that state contract.
Did you get pricing? Are we good?
I have to follow up. I said in the notes here, but I have to follow up with Tatiana. Her and I have to find out more details how it works.
Now, is this for John?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, it's for the Contributory Retirement Board.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
better to say that. It's
Okay.
basically like for us to
I know,
lend
but I'm
out.
just saying it's for the members that need to have access.
That's correct. And
Okay.
only one member per MiFi, because it's a physical device that you have.
Okay.
So if you want to continue with that, Jake, and just find out how, because we've already approved you purchasing it. So just kind of move forward with it as quickly as you can.
All right, the Zoom. Oh, well,
So
sure.
that's
And then,
that, Kate.
MiFi.
yep. And then when you're ready,
First, and then work on the Zoom, because I think the Zoom is going under state contract in March. I think I got that from Roger or somebody.
no, Zoom can't be on the state contract. I can, get a confirmation that I have that correct from Roger, but to tell you the truth, they were very clear in my emails. I just have to.
Zoom, you have to buy 2 licenses. One is the regular license, which is, I want to say, like, I forget. And then there's another one for webinars, which is what we need. And the webinar license is $400 annually. So I want to say it's about $500 a year to have a Zoom license.
Okay.
I think it's important. I know you people that sit at town hall, have access to IT. My IT person is my wife, who's very good, but she gets very confused about what all this is going on. So, kind of keep that in mind when you're changing things or going to do things differently, because I'm sure myself and Bob Papetti and, others just aren't up to speed on what it is we should be doing.
And Bob, I'd like to set your mind at ease, because the Zoom that we're talking about is no different than what you're doing right now. It's the same thing. It's just a matter of who sets up the meeting. Currently I am, and Jake would be doing it when it changes. So
Okay.
Same technology. For the MiFi, it would change for John, because it would be like John having access to the internet on a device, wherever he is. So-
Because it's very difficult. Let me tell you something. I'm not on Prosper, and it's not because I don't want to be. It's because we can't do it here. We went to the office, and Jake was very kind, and we got on it in the office, and we did whatever we had to do. We got all the instructions and came home, and we can't do it. We've tried several times here. We can't get on Prosper. So it's getting to the point where I'm not going to be much good to you people if I can't get these things straightened out. But
All right.
anyway,
Let me say something as an administrator. I'm here to support you. So I know we're during the pandemic right now, but I came over to Bob Papetti's house, helped him with a couple things. I've gone to Marty's house, worked with him on some things. So I can always come over there and show you how to get into Prosper. And it's like Sandy said, don't be afraid of that, because it's actually a rather straightforward thing. So I could always come over and help you with that whenever you feel comfortable.
We might take you up on that. It won't be, because I'm gonna need it, because in order to do these disabilities, you have to do it through Prosper.
I can put the link right on your desktop, and all you do is click right onto it. The only thing you would have to do is probably sign in. Sometimes it even saves your credentials, but I can make it really easy for you.
We'll talk about it in a while.
Okay.
Thank you.
Papetti, can you get into Prosper? Have you tried?
Jay came to the house there one day, and I'm sure I could get on it, but then once I get on it, I don't know what,
Okay, but you can,
so,
you can have access to it. It sounds like Bob doesn't have some kind of access, Jake.
Well, the day I went over to Bob's is more of an introductory session. I was still waiting for Rose Morrison to actually set him up.
Right.
Yeah, so he really couldn't get access. We couldn't get access at that point in time, but
Okay. Make sure that he has been set up by Rose so that he can do that. Okay.
Well, Bob, I also want to say, Jake and Bob, you could, if you have Prosper, you guys should set up a meeting through Zoom. And Jake, you should share your screen and take them through Prosper and show them how to use it remotely. Because that's what I do, is I show people how to do things remotely using my desktop.
that's a good idea. Yep.
You know how to share your screen?
Yes.
Okay.
so in other words, we're gonna have to be on Prosper for even voting on some of these
Yes.
disabilities and things.
Yeah.
Terrific.
It's not
Yeah.
as bad as you
Big
think.
mistake.
It's
Yeah.
not bad. It's not bad.
No, it's not. And it's all the information
Kind of a
you
guy-
need to review the accidentals it's gonna be on there. But I'm sure if you needed hard copies of anything, Jake would be more than happy to provide you with a paper copy of any.
Okay.
I'm the kind of guy that likes to be in a meeting, ask questions, know what's going on. I mean, I should have been a course before I even signed up for this. I mean, maybe another 20, 30 years, I'll be great at it, but I'm sure I won't be around.
Yeah, I know. Me neither. Okay.
Crazy,
What else do we have?
crazy.
Do we have anything else?
Do we have to
Uh,
vote on you signing those things, Evie?
I'm sorry,
We have to vote on you signing those?
I have to sign those.
Do we have to vote on it? That's my question.
No, well, this is all part of the meeting, the last meeting where we accepted the application. Where I have to work on the minutes.
Okay.
So do I have a motion to adjourn?
Just one thing. On page 37, the bank reconciliation. I love that page. Page 37.
Yeah, that's new, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's showed up a couple of times.
Okay.
It's great. My question was, on the lower box, on the right-hand side, one individual got 5 checks in a month.
Albert Randall.
No,
Say
no,
the name.
that's not in a month.
What I can,
They probably signed, they probably cashed them.
It's not
I'm
there.
probably the one that should talk to it, because I'm intimate with it.
No, I mean, why did he, why was, are those his monthly retirement things?
Yeah, Bob, me and Jake can explain. Mr. Randall, all of a sudden his paycheck or his stubs kept on coming back, address unknown, refused, yada, yada. So when we do that, and we can't get a hold of the people, I called, and he didn't have any voicemail. So we stopped the check. Okay. And so then, then from there, Jake actually cuts physical checks. And what he did is he took all the checks over to his house, and he still wouldn't come to the door. And the next door neighbor came out, because I guess he was kind of like a shut-in, and he finally came to the door. That's why there's 5 checks, physical checks.
So those were, they were all cashed in the same month, but they were for different periods.
Yeah, they were his pension checks.
I'm not making a big deal out of it. It just popped out at me and I just thought I'd ask the question.
Yeah, unfortunately, I mean, it happened. I mean, we have somebody now that she lives in Bridgewater, we think, but I can't get in touch with her, and every correspondent we send out, it gets returned. So because we don't want their, if they're not, if they moved or they passed away, we're going to stop until we get an explanation. So,
Yeah, so basically Albert Randall, for whatever reason, he doesn't really get out much, but he's alive and well. I drove to Arlington and met him, and he was very kind to me. So he just sits on his checks for a while, but number one, above all things, and Liz was just referring to another person, is I stopped a direct deposit. It's a fraud prevention security measure that I implement because I don't want to just direct deposit funds if I don't hear back from somebody. So
yeah, on the town side, I remember I used to deal with governments from my job at the bank, and one of the things that always came up is, who do you think sat on their paychecks the longest? And you know what the answer was? Teachers.
yeah.
Evelyn, do you agree with that?
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah. Anyways,
I really agree.
Yeah, I have a new girl. Well, she's not new. She actually got hired in August, and they just put her up. They just convinced her to put on direct deposit because she's lost like 3 checks, and we have to stop payments on them, and that's a pain in the neck for me. So.
I mean, you really have to encourage direct deposit for these.
yeah. Okay, motion to adjourn.
I have a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
I have a question, one more question, please.
Okay.
Do you think it's possible we can get the MiFi device in 2 weeks? The next 2 weeks?
I don't know the
Find
answer to
that out,
that.
John, and get back to you. How's that? Don't know
All
the
right,
answer to that. Need to work it out with Tatiana and see what's happening, but we'll get back to you. I'm going to expedite this because I didn't realize that it got thrown back at us. So I
Yeah.
guess my bad for not realizing it in the
No,
email.
I'm heading out again, so,
Okay.
I'd like to have the access.
Okay.
I've
So
learned
should-
one thing here. John Krawicki holds a lot of weight there. Got to expedite it.
And Evie, can you hold
Uh,
on at the end of the meeting
no.
after everyone leaves? I'd like to talk to you for a minute.
Sure.
Thanks.
Okay, I have a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second,
Second,
Okay, roll call vote. Mr. Merles,
Yes.
Mr. Papetti,
yes.
Mr. Krowecki,
yay.
Ms. Sincata,
Yes.
Chair votes yes.
Uh-huh.
And
My
then-
wife votes yes too.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Merles. I didn't mean to forget you.
No, my wife votes yes
Your
too.
wife votes yes.
The next meeting, by the way, is February 10th,
Thank you.
and Monday is a holiday. FYI.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, Darren.
Thank you. See you next month.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.